and how to really scaling up the agency. So why don't you take it away?
Perfect. Well, let me jump in, guys, real quick, just to welcome our folks that are jumping in. Thanks for handling the technical difficulties here, guys. Sometimes that just happens. But yeah, I'm very excited to be introducing, guys, a friend of ours, Azhar Siddiqui and Urooj, who's going to be walking us through kind of background. So we met last year and got to know these guys pretty well. And what I thought was really fascinating about who they are and what they do is they provide help with placing executive assistants, sales development reps, account managers, specifically for agencies. And I know there's a lot of folks out there that help with executive assistants, but what really stood out to me was that they actually have helped over 500 agencies place folks on their teams. And I think that's really awesome. So today, what they're going to be walking us through is strategies for finding the right executive assistant, things like hiring, integrating new team members, and ultimately like using skills of other folks who are good, strong people in our agency to help scale and grow. And I think what's also pretty cool, and I'm actually pretty excited about this myself, is they've got some really cool goodies and some shortcuts they're going to give away to us today, some hiring tools, some onboarding process and checklists. And honestly, I can't wait to get my hands on those myself. So guys, thanks for jumping in. Thanks for doing this training for us here today. And really excited to learn along with all of our folks from our community here.
Thank you so much.
It's an honor to be here, Mike and AJ, and having lots of people from your community join us in as well. And been working with Mike, AJ, and Tanya for better part of this last year, and trying to get to know each other and build these relationships out. And I think that's one of the most important things. And the first thing that we wanted to do was, we wanted to do something that really has an impact, and something that as agency owners and SaaS business owners, all of us are going to have to go through, especially if you're thinking of growing your agency. This is a natural that we're going to go through, which is going to be building out a team. And even in that, with the whole having a mile deep and an inch wide hole, we want to kind of figure out what's that first role that, as we start growing our agencies, that we should be thinking about. And, there's different ways you can do this. I've done it differently, but what's coming down with this experience, this wealth of experience that we've had over the last almost 4 years working with 600 plus agencies now, is that it helps to have a second brain. And we call it the executive assistant. So that's what we want to talk about today. We're going to not just pull it out of a hat for you. We're going to, this information is coming to you from people like Mike and AJ and so many coaches that we work with, so many agencies we work with, Inc. 500 clients who swear that, this should have been their first hire as soon as they had revenue. And, that's what it's all going to be about today. And Urooj is going to lead the show for us, and we're going to have lots of fun.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Mike and Azhar, for opening this up for me. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining up this webinar today. We are super thrilled and excited to have you all, because we definitely are going to break down this role into every tiny bits and pieces so you guys can understand this even more better way, why we started providing this role. And then we basically did test it and we tried it. Then we started providing it for all our clients. So you would be happy to know all our CEO, CFO, and CEOs, they use their executive assistants, and we'll be walking you through that, how they do it. So, and then we do have lots of clients who are getting executive assistants and are thanking us for getting them an executive assistant in the first place. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to walk you through our first data bit.
Marvin, as Urooj pulls that up, just a bit of a background for everyone who's tuning in is a little bit about myself. Yeah, I'm co-founder along with my brothers, Athar and Azhar, Athar and Yawar. I've been running my agency in Calgary, Canada for the last 15 years. So, like I'm from the community. So I understand, the plight of the agency owner and the SaaS business owner. And because I've been through all of those things over the last decade and a half. And that's what we were able to bring in, Fortune 500, my brother Athar working in operations, bringing in the operations experience from the world's largest bank, JP Morgan Chase, at an executive level. So when three of us came together, the purpose was really to kind of, like it's a no-brainer. We can figure this thing out. 60% of our revenues is usually spent around this problem. So why not see if we can make an impact? And over to you, Urooj. Marvi, can you start the slide deck?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, sounds great. So once again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. We have the CEO, founder of Repstack. We have Mike and AJ Rivera from Agency Coach. So thank you so much for our guest speakers as well. We are going to first talk about when to hire an executive assistant. So let's hear it out from one of our top clients, Austin Rabor. He's going to let you know that when you are ready to hire an executive assistant, and then we are going to further talk about this role. So let's hear this out from him.
Can't hear it.
Yeah.
All right.
Can everyone hear this video?
No.
Oh, just a sec.
So just to let you guys know, Austin is an Inc. 500 2023 marketing agency, and a NetFly Digital focused on the law firm niche. Does fantastically well, has a few people from us, and one of those hires is his executive assistant for themselves.
Immediately. One of my biggest, I don't want to say regrets, but just looking back, you look back at where you started and the mistakes that you made and what you could have done to accelerate your growth a lot faster. One of those things is documentation, having a second brain, having a person that can see the things that you don't see, make recommendations. Not only that, but help you document your business.
All right, so you hear it from Austin Arbor himself that he tells that you can hire the executive assistant as soon as possible, as soon as you get that first client of yours. That is definitely the time to get the executive assistant. This is the first role that we do suggest to all our potential clients, and then they do thank us for that. So when you talk about an executive assistant, they do help you buy back your time. By buying back your time, I really mean it. They help you buy back 50% of your time. And how they do that? We have divided this into their technical and soft skills. When you talk about their technical skills, many agency owners, they do struggle a lot with keeping a track of emails, which emails they need to prioritize first, and then which emails they can have and answer them later on. And then there are lots of promotional emails whenever a business or an agency is just starting off and going to scale up. So your executive assistant can start managing your inbox emails, making sure that the highest priority emails are given into your attention, and all the other emails the executive assistant can take care of themselves.
Urooj, can I just pause you for a second there? So I don't know if about you, Mike, and AJ, but I know my days back in my agency days where like I was literally like hooked on my emails, and just like refreshing it even if it's not there, because everything is happening around the emails. And I was so much like it was such an amazing relief when I was finally able to step back from this, because like I had not known for 10 years in my agency or 15 years in my agency days, I've not known a day where I can go without emails. And finally to having that I don't have to do that anymore that was such a sweet thing. Have you guys gone through similar situations or kind of have stories like that to share?
Yeah, I think one of the indicators that I was doing email wrong was the day I decided to turn off the number of unread emails that I rather than dealing with the unread emails, I just turned off the notification, the little red bubble that says how many things you hadn't read. And it was one of those things where my inbox management was basically non-existent, right? Like everything was in the inbox, nothing ever got sorted. But come to find out, an inbox, like, if you rewind time, the inbox is labeled that because, back in the day, there was literally inboxes on people's desks, and it was designed to be processed, right, and moved through. And I think that a lot of my early stress and a lot of the lost opportunities that I had in sales was because of a lack of management of that, right? That, I'd be laying in bed 10 o'clock at night thinking about what my next day was going to look like. And then I would start to think back and be like, I wonder whatever happened to that one guy that I met with 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I think I'm supposed to follow up. And then come to find out there was something in my inbox that was a message or a follow-up from them that I just forgot about, right? And so, there's 2 ways to fix that. One is to get better at email, right? Or it's to get some help with it. And so, I've done a combination of both over time where, sometimes it's a matter of getting a process and a system in place, right? But then it's also having someone to hand that process and system off to, because let's face it, like, our inboxes are kind of like it's the fastest path to put a to-do on somebody else's list, right? I send you an email, suddenly I've given you a to-do list or an item for your to-do list. And the truth is that, if you're operating your agency that way, you're allowing other people to put things on your to-do list without there being some sort of filter or gateway that it passes through. Like, that's where a lot of stress and burnout can really exist.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest one for me is like when you have all your notifications and your watch is ringing and your phone is dinging that you've got a new email. It's like you're right in the middle of important work, and then all of a sudden your mind goes elsewhere, right? And now all of a sudden this person's email is the priority, and the thing that you were focused on kind of goes on the side, right? And so I've had many of those days where I'm at the end of the day and it feels like I was constantly reacting to things, right? And jumping and putting out fires, but wasn't necessarily working on the things I wanted to work on. Right? And some of those things weren't as important, but this feature of like seeing it and then jumping on it, right? And so I think that's what helped with the most is just being that filter to keep me not from getting distracted.
Yeah, quite a nice feeling to be able to tell someone, here's my priorities. And if anything doesn't fit that priority, like, I don't want to see it, or I need you to help me find another way to solve that. Right. And like you said, Azhar, like, not having to feel like I'm incessantly checking email. Cause I turned off notifications that my phone wasn't buzzing every time a new email came in. Like, I'd done that, but like, that didn't stop me from launching the app and hitting refresh just to check. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
When was that? Did you guys each have that aha moment when you finally realized that this is something that we may not have to do anymore, like check emails, view our socials, scheduling maybe, and the basic stuff? Like, what point in your agency journeys did you get to that point where now you can have someone helping you out?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of a slow learner sometimes. That's why I maybe got into the coaching business, to help people be faster learners. And I probably put up with the pain far longer than I should have. But the point that we had several team members, and I was not only fielding emails and questions from clients and sales, but also from the rest of the team. Like, that's where it became abundantly clear that, like, me handling it on my own wasn't doable. And I hate to think how much sales opportunity I missed simply because I was working every day, right? Like, if I looked at my schedule and I said, "Hey, were you working today? I said, "Yeah, I was busy as all heck." But was I really doing the most productive, highest value tasks? No, like, I was really being my own assistant. And I don't know if anybody here has watched that show Mad Men. like for a period of time, like I got really into that show, and I was like fascinated by this idea that each of the executives had an assistant. And I remember thinking at the time, like, that's unnecessary, right? Like that's why would they do that? What a waste, right? And I'm like, it's so cool because now we have these phones, and it's like I can be my own assistant. And I was actually kind of proud of it for a little while. I'm like, yeah, how cool that's where we're at today. That's not no longer necessary. And then it was in time that I started to realize what the function of that was, because it was more than just shouting out the door and being like, hey, get this person on the line or write this email for me. It was the stacking of all those little tasks that that I didn't realize that had become so much of a weight on me. And I found less and less of my time of doing the fun stuff. Like I think, one of the cool parts about being an entrepreneur and being a business owner is that, we get to design our own day and what we work on. And when you're less busy, especially when you're first starting, like you get to experiment and play with all sorts of things. Like part of the reason I love being in business is because I get to chase some shiny objects every once in a while. But what I found is that as my business became more successful, I was doing less of that. And I was honestly less happy in the business because I wasn't able to explore and have some, free time to figure out what was next for the business or what cool things I could be learning. Instead, I was being buried by administrative work, and I didn't realize it. It was one of those things like, what do they say? Like a frog boiled in water, right? Like, slowly the temperature started to increase, and I didn't notice the small shifts until it was too late.
Yeah.
No, I think that's I can relate, and I think so many of us can relate to that. And for me, it was, we started using assistants early on. It was great and everything. But I took this vacation summer of 2022, about 2 years ago, where I finally decided to delete, the email app, the Facebook, the Instagram, the Slack. We work on Slack. So, I got the Slack out of my phone as well. And that like 5 days on Vancouver Island, it was the most incredible time I've had in such a long time because, we're so busy with getting started and up and running. Yeah, I had the help and stuff like that, but I wasn't able to like kind of sum it up until that point where I didn't have to do any of that stuff. I just got like a WhatsApp message from my assistant on how the business was doing on a daily basis. That's all I remember, like, this may sound cliched, guys, but I remember like touching these big 300-year-old sequoia trees and like being really in the moment. And that's the point. Like at that point, I think I've used my assistant for like 6 months. Now I've had my assistant for the last 2.5 years, and like the relationship that we have now, it's like different, right? Like I just came back from the Dallas Advanced Mastermind from GHL. And we already have a list of 10 people that I'm working with. One of them includes Mr. Frank Kern. We're going back and forth. Most of these people are going to be more joint ventures and things like that. And all of that stuff, my executive assistant is taken care of. So now I think that we've kind of figured out that this is something that's very exciting. And I think I want to just turn to what Mike just said, that, what it's very important for us as entrepreneurs to work on what's important to us. But one thing that we don't give ourselves enough room on is that who we work with is also, I think, as important and could be a very important part of that mission that you're on, like who we work with. And, and this person is going to be like, if you follow the recommendation that we're making, should be the first person inside your agency. This is going to require a special type of person to come in. And, this is a person you're going to want to be working with every single day. You're going to probably see them every day. If you're not, then something's not working out. You're going to find out real quick. So a very different breed of person, I think we're looking for. And that's why we have Urooj here with us, because, Urooj does this day in and out. You're talking to 10 different agencies in any given day, and building out these job descriptions and things like that. So I think she would be the best person to kind of define the role for us. Why do we need these technical skills? Why do we need the soft skills? And then maybe perhaps give the audience, you guys, a tool so that you can build out your own job description like we build out when we're hiring for these roles and things like that.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Rich.
I do have that tool. That's pretty exciting. That will be given to all the audience here, that they can build their job descriptions, and we will be touching base on how to build a job description. But before that, I'll quickly touch base on the other technical skills, and I would like to ask my guest speakers and Azhar, you as well. Let's talk about calendar management and scheduling. So whenever you have an executive assistant, you can make sure that this person is taking care of your schedules and there are no meetings that are getting clashed with one another, because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, there is only one of you, and you want to make sure that you attend and prioritize all your meetings. So the executive assistant is going to be scheduling according to your availability and making sure that there are no clashes among these calls, and then most important ones are getting into your attention and you are making sure that you attend them. They are also giving you reminders at least 5 or 10 minutes before the call to make sure that you are available and you do attend these meetings. So Azhar, do you have anything to say about if you ever had a clashing call before having an executive assistant?
Of course, it's scheduling is hard. Like, we're not schedulers or professionals at it. We just do it because it's a means to an end, right? Like, we need to book that call. I need to be fairly decent at it because I need to close that deal. That's the story of an agency. But imagine having that stuff taken care of for you. It's a blessing, guys. I just this morning was my first call with my EA, Sam, and wife and I were planning on taking a bit of a trip in June. So, I wanted to book that time off. So all I had to do was jump on the call with my EA, tell her to open up the calendar, told her that, hey, I'm going to be away from the 10th till the 19th and back on work on the 20th. So now she's got the mission, right? So everything is going to be blocked off for me. No one can book a call with me during that time frame and all of that stuff. So it's just so much easier. Like, imagine like if we like, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff, that I'm going to have to set up those email reminders or how is it going to work. It's just, she's going to take care of everything while I'm away, right? So that's what, to me, that's what calendaring and scheduling has been able to build it up to. But the basics of it is like when you're starting out, again, that's why we have such a huge list of soft skills that's required for this role as well. But the basics of it is that this part immediately coming in, your calls being booked, your calendar, day-to-day calendar, your executive assistant should be able to take over that immediately and should be able to give you a sigh of relief, like immediately with the emails and the calendaring.
Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely live and die by my calendar. So if there's like overlaps, if there's any issues with that, it creates some big headaches for me. Or I decide that I need to take a day off and I have a full meeting of scheduled meetings, and it's nice to be able to just have somebody that's going to reach out and figure out how to get those moved to another day. Having to do that, and then one-on-one meetings are kind of easy to schedule, but once you start involving multiple people, it starts to become a headache, right? And there's a lot of back and forth, and what seems like what could be like a quick 1 minute activity turns into a lot of back and forth email that really you shouldn't be spending time on.
Yeah, I agree. How about you, Mike? Like, how do you kind of go about your calendars?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is understanding how much of a burden it can really be to get things scheduled, and how often. Like, here's a good example. I was at a scouting meeting the other night last week, and there's a gentleman there that knows that I'm in marketing but doesn't know much about what I do, but we've helped the scout troop out with some website stuff, so he knows that like that's the general area of where I've lived in my career. And so he asked me, he's like, hey, is that, do you guys do this, do you guys do that? And I was like, yeah, if it has to do with creating more customer activity, that's what our agency does. And he was like excited to hear that. He handed me his card, said, hey, I'd love to chat with you or the team about that. And, old me would have sat on that card for 2 or 3 days, knowing I got to get to it because I already have a full day. I already have these opportunities that I'd already been chasing, and this is a new one. And as much as I'm grateful for the new opportunity, I don't know if anybody here has ever felt that like feeling of like dread when there's like a new opportunity where it's like, you should be celebrating that, but you're like, also, well, where am I going to fit this in?
Yeah.
And the beautiful part about, having some of this kind of help is that, I can hand that off to someone and know that it's going to get put in the right spot. That also isn't feeling overwhelming to me. And so when I saw him again, I saw him over the weekend because there was another Scouts event, and he thanked me. He's like, "Hey, thanks so much for jumping on that. I really appreciate it," because and it left an impression on him, right? It left an impression that because he happens to be frustrated with his current agency, surprise, surprise, right? And one of the things he's frustrated with is that when he reaches out to them, he doesn't hear back. He doesn't get a full answer. And so me being able to share, even through this like quick interaction with him, that, hey, we're on top of it, right? It's a good impression for him, right? It's less overwhelming for me or for my team, and the opportunity is in play. The number of times in our agency that we've heard from clients said, you guys are the only ones that called us back. You're the only ones that were on top of it. Is shocking, right? But I realize that most of the competitors out there in the field are not staying on top of this. And so having that kind of help like should pay for itself, right? The kind of opportunities that, this deal, the company that he's considering leaving, his ad budget is $8,000 a month, and he's paying the agency $5,000 a month, right? It's like, I have our agency has an opportunity at that because of how, we're responding to it, right? And so
$60,000 a year contract.
Yeah. That's a lot.
So it's we haven't closed the deal yet, just to be clear, right? But can you understand like the series of events when it comes to a calendar that are important that could that happen without an executive assistant? Sure, but like I sure feel a lot better about it because I know that that's going to happen quickly, and it leaves a good impression on everyone, and that's always been an important thing for me and the agency.
I think we're all doing our clients a favor by having someone in this role, because if it was just me, like I obviously, like if I was still doing sales, one of the first opportunities I got in this business was to step back from sales, and did that like really, really early on. But that's really telling our clients like, this is the level, this is the quality that we bring to the table. And if somebody is hearing back from me immediately after an event, or I'm sending him a gift already, better yet, like I'm sending him a customized Yeti, recording a video call for them, having this customized email ready to go, have this snippet of a video ready to go, sending all of these type of things out. Like if it was just me doing it, I can promise you I could not have done this at a level that I'm doing it right now. Like and just that, again, that trip to Dallas with the GHL people, I'm already sending out, I have these 10 people that I have to respond to. This morning, I recorded a call with my EA. We were recording the video. We did a 3-2-1. This one's for Mr. Frank. This one's for Shannon. This one's for Tim, and so on and on. And now those snippets of videos will be plugged into that email, a customized one-on-one that I've recorded just for them based on the last conversation I've had. So, we can keep going on and on, but I think scheduling like that's immediately saves you, and then makes you look really, really good. And, that trust factor goes up, like as soon as you have these things in place that, hey, I can trust this guy because this guy gets back to me immediately.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one other factor is the time zones management. So your executive assistant can make sure that if you're going to have a meeting, the time zones and everything is communicated properly, because we are working globally, and we want to make sure that we do schedule the calls, making sure that the time zones and the timings align with one another. So this also plays a huge role at it.
Yeah, even in the US, there's 3 different time zones, right? So now we're all global.
All right. Let's talk about the third technical skill here. That's managing social media. And I would actually like to give an example here of Azhar. So he was at this Go High Level intensive this month, and I could see his socials, all the videos, all the testimonials coming in live from there, and he was not doing them. Actually, his executive assistant, Sam, was doing that for Azhar. So what it does is that it enables Azhar to maintain his business relationships and making sure that all his socials are updated on time, real time. So when these socials are getting updated real time, audience are looking at it or the activity, and then we do see the results coming in, because whatever testimonials, whatever activities that Azhar is performing at those events are being published there and then by the executive assistant. All the questions, all the answers are being given on time on his socials. So that does play a huge role at brand building as well as marketing of the business, and then definitely making and maintaining greater business relationships. So would you like to touch base on this a little bit, Mike and Azhar?
Yeah, for me, I think like it's a no-brainer, right? Like we're working with marketing agencies, we're there, right there with them, and we have to be great at our own marketing. And our social media better be right. So I can't afford to make boo-boos and things like that. So there's like different levels of checks and frameworks in place already for my personal account. And and if I'm not on there, but my executive assistant might be behind the scenes, she might introduce herself to you that, hey, this is Sam at Azhar's profile. Other times, if it's a entry-level relationship, she might just interact as me. But the main thing is that me as a CEO or the leader of the organization, I'm getting back to people like I never could in the past. And I'm getting, like what Mike, you said, putting the right business card in the right lane. So Urooj has that lead. The client success department has the client that they need to talk to, and everyone, assigned the right balance. And that's what my job is anyways. Now, once you get to that point where, you've grown your agencies, you're going to be just facilitating for your teams. And the best way to facilitate for yourself and your teams, I think, would be through an executive assistant.
Yeah.
So,
fantastic.
Project management. Why do we have project management there, Urooj?
All right, I would really like to touch base on that. So there are lots of projects that might be going into the agency, and definitely the CEO or the business owner needs to make sure that the project is being done, is being communicated well to all the stakeholders in the company. So your executive assistant can actually make sure that this project is being communicated to all the stakeholders. They are well aware that what are the deadlines of the project, and then if there is any reporting, if there are any bottlenecks, they are being resolved by the executive assistant. And if there are any to-dos or key takeaways that you need to know, being the agency owner, the executive assistant is going to bring them back to you. So you can have one point of contact between you and all your internal teams. Definitely, you will be communicating with the teams now and then, but it might not be possible on a daily basis. So for that, your executive assistant is going to be that bridge that will connect you with your internal teams, making sure all the projects are being managed and delivered on time.
I think also the importance of project management tool, guys, here is for people who have connected teams, is that all our agencies, I haven't seen an agency that is not using a project management tool, or, so every one of us are getting work done through ClickUp or any other project management tool that you might be using. So that's kind of that really makes this role as a part of your team. It's not going to be something specialized just for the owner of the agency's owner. I talk to my EA, right? Like we have this Friday call where our teams are giving shout outs to everyone, and my assistant Sam keeps getting lots of shout outs, and people keep saying her that, hey, thanks for helping me out with this, that, and everything. And here I am thinking that, I've just done away with everything, but there's a whole human being who is doing a whole host of things to facilitate my teams on my behalf, right? And that happens more easily if you're really integrated into your teams where the work happens. For agencies, it's normally inside your project management tool. So it's really important for your executive assistant, in my opinion, to be, be really integrated into that project. So she can go and assign a task from my side and then now record that, hey, is this done or not? Deadline's coming up on this one. So without me even being involved, because I'll be honest, I haven't checked my ClickUp in a long time.
Yeah. Azhar is giving away his secrets as well. So, yeah, all right. And then I would like to touch base on this, that now we have a proper agenda for our weekly calls, our daily calls. The executive assistant team, they have set up the specific agenda, and it has made our daily and weekly calls much more productive. Even when me and CEO Akhtar are having meetings, we do have a special EOS system, and we follow that EOS format that has been implemented by our executive assistants into the ClickUp. We make sure that we do go by that specific agenda, and that has made our calls much more productive. And then we do assign to-dos and discuss issues, so we can definitely go in a bit more detail in the EOS as well sometime. So yeah, that's about the project management. Mike and AJ, do you guys have anything to add to it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife, right? Like, the cool thing about an executive assistant for us on our teams has been that there are various things we can throw at them, from calendaring to project management. And sometimes you just don't know exactly what you need help with. And a good executive assistant is going to help you prioritize and organize. And that's why I think oftentimes it can be a very strong starting point for someone who hasn't brought on a team member like that until now.
Yeah, totally. That's a great point, Mike.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now let's move ahead and talk about the soft skills, and let's also dive into why these soft skills are really important when you are talking about an executive assistant. Technical skills are definitely going to be there, but soft skills are equally important as the technical ones here. Because
so just before you go into the soft skills, one last thing that connects the technical skills to the soft skills is really this person being a digital marketer, right? Because we're all marketing agencies and SaaS businesses, and like, for us, marketing is everything. So like, having the basic knowledge of the industry and being like, even if they're an entry-level digital marketer, they won't be able to do the if they're not, they won't be able to manage your social media profiles like I, as an agency owner, expect to be managed, and my clients expect to be managed. Right, that's going to be at much higher level than any kid from the block coming in and taking over my social profile and stuff like that. So I would expect it to be done at a higher level for that. And then everything else, right? The knowledge of the industry, because that's where I'm in. It helps to have someone who's gone to school for marketing, business, who's had some experience, 6 months, a year working inside an agency, doing some design work, graphic work, and things like that, who understands the layout and things like that. So most of the people that we place would definitely check mark that, because that's what the requirement for our clients are. And that's what I would recommend that you guys be looking for as well.
100%. So now, when we talk about soft skills, definitely the industry knowledge is the key here. But then this executive assistant is going to be representing you and might be attending some meetings on your behalf sometime. So they need to have really good communication skills. You need to make sure that the executive assistant you are choosing can represent you. Because if you are not available, let's say if you're on a leave, then maybe your EA is going to be attending meetings on your behalf. So communication skills is the key here. Would you like to comment on that?
I think we can just take them all together and kind of chime in on them if you want to just finish the rest of them, Urooj.
Yeah, that'll be great. All right. I'll just go over them and then we can have a discussion over that, how these soft skills have helped you. Then we talk about discretion and confidentiality. Now, in discretion and confidentiality, your executive assistant is bound to make and maintain everything that you talk to that EA very confidential. You need to have that level of trust with your executive assistant to make sure you can share anything and everything with your executive assistant, so that there are no gaps and there is no discretion, because this executive assistant needs to understand each and everything about you. Maybe even if it's about your personal life, you need to share a few things so that this person understands and then delivers accordingly. Executive assistant is like a second brain. We just talked about it. This executive assistant can give you more ideas, can chime in to your day-to-day activities, how the things can be run even more better, because as an agency owner, you are the one in the front lines and you are taking care of so many things that you might miss some balls, and that's totally okay. So your EA can actually help acting as a second brain to give you more ideas in how to getting things more better. And then problem solving, definitely, if you have a second brain by your side and you share each and everything, every concern of yours with that executive assistant, that person is going to be giving you more ideas for problem solving, either it's on client side or on your internal team side. So would you guys like to now comment?
Yeah, I think like all of these things are totally so important. Like on my personal side, like my EA is taking care of, she's working with my lawyers, my accountants, and so it's like a lot of that stuff. Like now she understands me so well that she can go ahead and attend some of these meetings with my accountants and make sure that I get the outcome that I'm desiring out of this meeting. So now it didn't happen overnight, but that's the level that you want to get to with these people. So it's definitely a mission-driven hire. It's definitely a person who you're going to be excited to be working with every single day, who's going to have this, like what Urooj talked about, the confidentiality. That's a big one, because as you continue, and like, one thing I want to point out, Mike and AJ, you guys may or may not know, is that, when we started out, we were really early in our journey when me and my brothers, we started hiring assistants for ourselves. And now, it's like 250 people we're responsible for, lots more at stake when we started out. But I can promise you, like over the last 2.5 years since I've been using my EA, I can, that's a big part of where we're at right now. Because had we not done that 2.5 years ago, we would not have scaled from at that point when we were at 50 people to 250 people. About 2.5 years later. So all of that stuff means that, the soft skills is like this dynamic personality to me that, like this person can bring in where stuff that I don't want to do, she can go in with the same type of enthusiasm that I would have and come back to with a solution to me. It's funny, the other day Sam was reading out something she's written for me, and it sounded like exactly what I would have written. I'm like, Sam, that sounds just like me. And we both laughed at each other and kept moving on. But that's the goal here, right? Because we want to get to that point. But today we're going to mainly go through the starting point. So how we can build this thing out for you. And then you can at least get you on that journey and that pathway to not just personal growth, but hopefully helping your agency grow as well.
Yeah.
I think I'll just finish you off there by saying that one of the hardest things to scale is like yourself, right? And I think the thing that's been really important in my agency and in my businesses in general is leaving my personal touch on things and letting people feel that I see that I care, and that in many ways an assistant can be even better than you at that. Right. And they have the time, the band to be that for you. Because I was honestly, one of the reasons I kind of held on to it for too long was that I didn't think other people could do it as well as I did, which I realize now is foolish. In fact, they could do it better. And when people started reaching out to my assistant before me, because they knew that we get the answer faster and be better served and get what they needed, I was like, okay, this is fascinating. And I don't know if anybody else like kind of caught it when Azhar said that they could go to the meeting for you, right? The first time that crossed my mind, I was like, what? Like, that's a thing? And realizing that's not just okay, it's almost necessary, and people prefer it better. And also, that the right assistant is going to grow with you and perhaps take on more responsibilities. A great example, I know many in our community, and I know, Azhar, you've met Tanya. Like, Tanya started as my assistant early on, right? And Tanya has grown to take on a lot of responsibility, and she leads like her own teams now and has her own assistant and that kind of thing. And it's like, it's really empowering to see that kind of growth and recognizing that like this is the kind of thing that's possible when you're just willing to let go of that stuff.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating journey. Like, I can go on for hours and hours about how impressive this journey has been. It's life-changing for me. But yeah, let's get back to the importance of the role. Yeah, Urooj, let's take us back to the nitty-gritty. I think people are kind of wanting to find out, like, what is this magic person that these guys are talking about? It's not really magic. I think it's just a little bit of hard work, finding out like what Mike and AJ and we've gone through our careers and kind of experience of working with so many other agency owners. We've kind of figured out like what works best, and what's the type of person that you're looking for. So it's that person, exactly what Mike said, that like someone you can have fun with, someone who can represent you and probably do it better than you can, right? And like and it's not rocket science, it's simple. And Urooj is going to help us build out a job description, which she does on a daily basis for so many of our clients.
Definitely. I would love to. So we are definitely going to talk about the sample job description, and this is going to be the first giveaway of this webinar. Just before getting into the sample of the job description and the job description builder, there are two parts of the job description that we create, and we make sure that these are very well written according to the agency needs and current challenges that what the agency owner is facing, the outline and identification. So in outline, there are all the scopes and executive assistant's duties, that what are the expectations. And then in the skill and in the identification, we do discuss what skill set and what kind of experiences are required for this executive assistant to have. I was just looking into the chat and some of the questions. One of the questions did catch my eye right now from our audience. That was that if the executive assistant can do your clients' socials as well. So if you want your executive assistant to be doing these things, you need to make sure that this executive assistant is coming out from a marketing background, not just a knowledge, but experience as well. And then you can just make sure if you want to prioritize or divide the time however you like, and whichever hours you feel you need the executive assistant, and then what kind of tasks you want to give to this person. So these two are very important parts of the job description. Now let's have a look towards the sample of an executive assistant job description.
Just so as we open that up to answer that question again, if you want them, especially early on when you're like less revenue, yes, you're going to want someone who can kind of wear a few hats for you, right? Like, hey, get this presentation done for me and get this video edited for me. Yes, definitely that's how it's going to be. That's kind of how we were early on. But as you continue to grow and then this person continues to grow, or a replacement of this person continues to grow with you, and your agency is growing, you're going to see that this role is going to become so much defined that it's not even funny, that like you would be like amazed at how well organized your life is, because just by seeing the job description of this. But early on, yeah, I think it's totally doable, right, Urooj? Like these are type of people we're placing anyways.
Definitely, it's totally doable. So this is a sample of job description. This is a similar kind of job description that we create here for our clients at RepStack. And it includes each and every detail when you talk about, if you just scroll down a little, the ideal candidates, what the ideal candidate needs to have, scheduling, emailing. And these are like priority-wise, like what is your top priority, then your second, then third. So let's
I think one thing, just if you can go to the top one more time. One thing that I want to just highlight in this, and we're not going to spend too much time on the job description, but I want to point out, when you're putting together a job description for any of your team roles, especially the executive assistant or whoever you're bringing in for your company, Like make sure that like it really hits a core, right? Like, so if you go through this job description that we have, we really let them know, we give them the vision, the grand vision of what's at stake at working at RepStack. You know, having a global marketing career, working with some of the fastest growing marketing agencies in the world, right? Like that, for someone who's starting out a marketing career based out of Pakistan, this is you know, like a grand vision. So those are the type of people we want to work with. So, you know, so make sure that it's, you have your vision and mission, things like that integrated into your job description. Pour a little heart into it. Let's just say that. Of course, we're going to talk about scheduling, emailing, and social media, but I always want to lead with like something, some honest conversation above before we get to the nitty gritty.
Yeah, definitely. So we can just go over this, and now we can move ahead and let's talk about.
I think, and the last point on this would be emails, scheduling, social media. I think like when you're bringing on this person for the first time, these, if you just don't forget about everything else and you just focus on these three things, you're gonna get a win out of it. Like it's gonna be a home run if you can just focus. Everything else, yeah, you can add that on there for, you know, as you get better. But like if you can just dial these first three things in, I think anywhere from 20 to 40% of your time could be bought back immediately just by taking care of these three things.
Yeah, definitely. And the tasks in the job descriptions are also defined, like you can define their weekly, daily, and even monthly tasks so that everyone is on the same page that what this executive assistant is going to be achieving for you. So this is a very dialed in kind of a job description. So now let's just have a look towards the job description builder. We are going to be sending this out to you all as well. This is a job description builder template that we use here at RepStack. We have the job title here. Either it's going to be full-time, part-time. We do recommend highly to get your executive assistant full-time only. But definitely it depends on your needs as well and where are you at your agency cycle. Then we have the overview of the title, just like the overview we read in our job description. A first 2-3 lines needs to be very hitting the core of the job description. And just like Azhar said, you need to pour your heart out to it. We need to add up the key responsibilities, must-haves. You can have 2 to 3 must-haves that you need to this person to be doing for you. The things that you are spending most of your time can be in the must-haves. Then there are good-to-haves. And then in good-to-haves, you can be like adding up ability to maybe work around the tasks of and manage the projects. And you can add up communication skills, the kind of personality you want to have. In must-haves, you can add up all the core skills you need this person to be doing. Then when you talk about daily tasks, you can just define what kind of daily tasks you want this person to be doing. It's email management, scheduling, or even if it's like paying your online utility bills. So it can be that as well. You can have your weekly tasks, your soft skill, that what kind of soft skills you need, and then technical skills needed. So this is the template that we use, and we'll be sending it out to you all. Now let's move ahead. All right. Now we're going to talk about finding the right fit and where to hire. So this is like the core of this webinar, I would say, because we would be touching base on every possible strategy that you can be using in recruitment of these executive assistants. And we'll be talking about all these strategies here. So first is freelancing websites like Upwork, Fiverr. You can go to these websites. You can get an executive assistant for yourself there versus recruitment agencies like RepStack. So what's the difference? When you talk about freelancing websites, you are going to get a person, but this person, you are not going to get anyone to be taking care of this executive assistant for yourself. You're all out by yourself, just hoping that this person shows up every day with same enthusiasm. And then you are definitely hoping that this person is retained with you as well. Because on Upwork and Fiverr, we know that freelancers are working out, and you do not know the mindset, that what kind of mindset a person has, and if this person is even going to stick around, or even if your information is confidential with this specific candidate or not. But still, you can go ahead and you can hire someone from Upwork or Fiverr. Now, when you talk about recruitment agencies, I would just give an example of RepStack because we are one. So what the recruitment agencies do is that we make sure that this person has the right mindset, this person has the experience of doing everything. We do set up an account manager who can take care and manage your executive assistant, making sure that this person is delivering those tasks and making sure that your life is becoming easy because of this executive assistant. You do get an account manager to manage your EA for you. Then you also do get to talk to me on the discovery call. So whenever an agency owner comes in to RepStack, we do make sure that we are not just taking the discovery call for the sake of selling. We do call this a recruitment strategy call, where we do take all their requirements, we do understand their challenges, we do understand where they're at their business, and even if they require an executive assistant or not right now. If they do not, we do tell them very transparently that right now is not the time, and maybe at this point you would require that executive assistant to join in your company. So you do get all the back-end support, and then you do have the support of getting back to someone if the executive assistant is not working out how you hoped. We also make sure of the contingency of this person, the retention of this person, and then all the unforeseen circumstances are being taken care of when you are with a recruitment agency. So you don't have to just rely on that one person. You do have a whole agency taking care of you. Would you like to that?
Yeah, Urooj. So these are just some of the places where you can hire. Of obviously, a lot of us prefer to hire locally within the US. If you're hiring globally, that's kind of where our specialty is as well. But also along the way, there's great platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, especially Upwork, and then TopTal as well. So like if you want to continue to go more premium in the type of people that you want to hire. In terms of hiring locally, you can also, again, using these templates that we've shared with you, and maybe even what Urooj has to say about building out a custom job description for you guys. Based off of that, you can take this job description, you can use them on local hiring sites, recruitment sites like Indeed and ZipRecruiter. So those are the ones that we use for all our recruitment across the board. And I think they work really great from every one of our clients that we've done a survey with. But those are your options. But I think the big thing is going to getting clarity on this role. And that clarity is very, very important, where if you can build out that great job description, you're starting out great.
Definitely. So yeah, now just coming back to all the options, as I just touched base on hiring locally, definitely you can be hiring locally using Indeed, ZipRecruiter. You can just go ahead and hire an executive assistant for yourself. You can get a custom job description made from us, and then you can just post it over and get the person up and running. Now we do have one segment here of spotting the right candidate. So we did gather around a few pointers that we felt were really important when you are looking for the right candidate for the executive assistant role. So the first one is the person who complements your personality. Why is this so important? Now, this is really important because for an executive assistant to be your right hand, because this person is definitely going to be your right hand, a representative when you are not around, this person needs to admire your personality, admire the work that you do enough to be willing to be at your position each day, every day, making sure that there are no ball drops. So this person needs to admire what you do. thrives at fast-moving environment. The executive assistant needs to have the mindset of an agency owner. This person needs to be really fast-moving. Exceptionally multitasker. Definitely the executive assistant needs to wear different hats in a day. So this person needs to have multitasking in the personality. Great marketer. So if you're definitely an agency owner and you want this person to be marketing you, because the executive assistant will be marketing you on your socials like a brand. So this person needs to have that marketing mindset. Then when you talk about things like second brain, we just talked about it earlier as well. This person needs to be outspoken enough to give you ideas when required and bring new ideas to the table. Great at anticipating needs. Definitely if some event is coming up or if some new kind of tool or any CRM is coming up that this person is thinking that might help your agency, this person needs to be helping you in anticipating the company needs, that what the company would need after 2 to 3 months from now, or maybe a quarter from now, and then definitely communicating them over to you. So we also added a segment of Kolbe assessments. We did the Kolbe assessments of all our executive assistants, making sure that the skills that are, let's say, that are not present in the CEO, that must be present in your executive assistant.
What is a Kolbe, Urooj, if you don't mind just quickly explaining to us?
Yeah, for sure. So Kolbe assessment is a skill assessment test. It gives you all the insights on how a person and what are the compatibilities of a person, what are the strong skill set and the strong pursuit of a candidate. This test consists of at least some questions, 40 to 50 questions that you need to answer. And this Kolbe assessment assesses your skill set on the basis of those questions. And these results are really accurate. That's why we do use this organization-wise as well. And yeah, this shows the compatibility of a person, how the person is compatible with that specific skill set.
Yeah, I see Renee's posting that. I love that you guys use Kolbe's. We use Kolbe's for internal teams, support teams. Renee, for the client side, it's depending on if the client needs them or not. And usually we'll build the client out for that. But for this particular group, I'd be happy to, like if you guys are coming in on our discovery, we'd be happy to include that Kolbe assessment, for one free Kolbe assessment for anyone who comes on the call.
Yeah, what I think is fascinating about Kolbe, I think, is one I hadn't heard of probably until this last year or so. And I think a lot of people are familiar with like personality assessments, but what I think is cool about this is like you pointed out compatibility, and I used to think compatibility meant like they're like me, right? That they're mirroring me. And what I found interesting about Kolbe is it's like, here are the things that I'm good at as the agency owner or as a business owner, and here's the things I'm not good at. And when you're looking for an executive assistant, you want someone who's sympathetic to the things that you're good at and very good at the things that you're not. And that kind of creates this like, this yin yang of a fit, right, with that person.
Yeah.
Because I think my early hires, where they went wrong is I was just finding people that I liked and that were like me, right? And if you fill a room full of people who are just like you, guess what? You're going to be really strong in one particular area, probably fight each other. And then all the stuff that you guys are all bad at, you continue to be bad at. And I think that for me, when you look at the Kolbe assessments, you understand not only is it okay for you to be weak in certain areas, and in fact, you need to be in order to be strong in different areas.
I agree. Can you, Marvi, can you open up the Kolbe that we included with the downloads?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think another aspect of the Kolbes or using some kind of personality assessments is, in my opinion, Mike and AJ, is that it also kind of makes you aware of your personalities. It might not be like you'd see that me, this is my assistant. It's not like the ideal perfect. Yes, she helps me build out my fact finder really heavily. On the quick start side, because like I'm filling up the quick start. That's usually an agency owner who's like in a visionary role where people like that. I don't need Sam there, but Sam's also On the implementer side, she's got a decent score there. But it also makes us aware that the follow through on Sam's side is not exactly where it needs to be for an ideal candidate for me. But now what we were able to do is that we were able to put together a coaching and training program for Sam where we understood what her requirements were, and if she's going to come maybe a little short on the follow through, what are some of the systems and processes that we can build her so that like for example, her using the ClickUp all the time, like being really diligent with that has kind of helped her eliminate the follow through issue that might come naturally to her. And so like you can also, like, once you have these personality tests, first of all, take one for yourself and then start building your teams around a good one. There's a DISC assessment that you can take as well. They're usually available free of cost. Colby's are, I think, $55 per test. But we definitely love using the Colby's.
Yeah, for sure. We can just get back to the slides. This does give us great insights that what kind of candidate you need to be looking as an executive assistant.
I would want to work with this person that we're kind of coming up with, right? Urooj, AJ, and Mike. Like, this is exciting to me.
Yeah, we are building a great executive assistant job description here. So, yeah, Mike did summarize it really, really well, that the skill set that you do not have, you need your executive assistant to have those things. You do not need a person who is equally good at the things that you do. You need a person who is good at the things that you are not good at. And it's totally okay to have weaknesses in some areas because we cannot be perfect at the end of the day. We do have a sample. Can you just go back a slide? We do have a sample of questions that you can ask to your executive assistants in an interview. We will be giving you out this sample as well for download. We have listed all the important questions that you need to ask in order to assess their technical and soft skills. So you guys will be getting this as a giveaway too. Let's get back on the slides. We're going to now talk about the pre-onboarding. So we have just segmented this into pre-onboarding and then onboarding. So you're going to have two steps while you are about to get an executive assistant on your team. So first, when you talk about streamlining pre-onboarding processes, what is the importance and how to do it? We have listed each and everything for you all in an EA onboarding handbook. This handbook will be available for the download as well. You guys can just download it up. And why is it very necessary to do the pre-onboarding? It does help you to get ready for getting this resource getting started. And then everything is documented. Every SOP, standard operating procedure, is there. I did see another question that if they can be creating SOPs. Yes, your executive assistants can be creating their SOPs and the SOPs for every task. But before you get them, you need to make sure you need to define specific SOPs for your executive assistants. And then this also helps you to set very clear expectations that what you want this executive assistant to be doing for you. We can have a quick look towards the executive assistant onboarding handbook that we'll be giving off. So this consists all of the prerequisites you need to have before onboarding your executive assistant. All the softwares, all the project management tools are added up here. You guys can have a look and alter them according to your needs.
So this is kind of getting really you ready. So that you can start welcoming, in some cases, your first employee inside your agency. Because without stuff like this, guys, everything that we built out in RepStack, like the pre-onboarding, you guys might be thinking that this is just overly too much. It's not, because somebody is betting their life's work on your agency and they're signing up with you. They're coming in to work with you, and then they're coming in on your mission. The least we can do is that be ready. And like, I know, like if I know me and people like me, I did not do any of this stuff. But had I had these things beforehand, I can promise you, like, my success would have been much faster. that trajectory that I was just telling you guys about. So this is just the crux of the last 3.5 years that we've been placing for different roles. And we've kind of put them into different processes that, hey, let's use the pre-onboarding to kind of like get ourselves, make sure that, first of all, we have a system for password sharing. We have, our SOPs for your like some basic SOP ready to go around your project management tool. How are you going to share these documents? How are you going to share the email access? All of this stuff, this document is going to force you to do all of this stuff before you bring this person in. But now imagine that first employee, like the impact you're going to be able to create for this person, right? Like this person is going to have a buyer's remorse, like Joey Coleman talks about it on never to lose a client again and never to lose an employee again, that both of these type of people have buyer's remorse. Employees, when they sign up for on the dotted line that, hey, I'm going to come work with you, and the clients when they sign up for our services. So why not, give them a great experience? And also, I think in my opinion, like what you just said, that it helps, like we wanted to find this person, and now we're going to make sure before they come on board that, hey, this is where you're signing up. I wanted you to do all of these things. Are we clear? This, like, we're really setting expectations from even before their day one. So it's hugely important in how we've been able to build out amazing teams using pre-onboardings.
Yeah, definitely. Clear expectations are really important when you are about to onboard your executive assistant. Now, we did talk about pre-onboarding. We're now going to talk about smooth onboarding for your executive assistant success. And onboarding is equally important as pre-onboarding is. Now, when you talk about onboarding, we do have a 90-day onboarding checklist, because when you're onboarding an executive assistant, you need to make sure that you have the plan in place to set this person up for success. Because if your executive assistant is set up for success, trust me, you and your agency is set up for success for sure. So we are going to give away this 90-day onboarding checklist to you all as well. It includes everything from initial onboarding to your client, to your task and familiarity with the team, introductions, and then diving into the organization, how you need to start giving them away the task, getting things away from your plate to them. And then it includes each and everything step by step that you can start giving to your executive assistant, and you can just check mark all these boxes. So we're going to give this away as well.
Yeah, you can bring this into your ClickUp or any project management tool that you're using for your employee onboarding. Do it in high level. There's lots of ways to do this, but the more important thing is that if you start doing it, not just for the EAs, I think it can help in any role that you're onboarding.
Yeah, definitely. And then while you're onboarding, if you move back one slide, you need to make sure that this executive assistant feels very much welcomed in the team. You do introduce your executive assistant to all the other team members. You make sure that they understand the agency culture so that they can gel in with each and every one. And then they also need to be familiarized with all the tools and the CRMs that you're using, because this executive assistant is going to be using these tools or these CRMs now and then on your behalf or for you. So you guys can have this on the onboarding call. Now, when you move ahead, we do ensure we do need to make sure that the executive assistants are having ongoing success. We do onboard them, everything is smooth. Now, to make sure that they are having the ongoing success, we do have a whole contingency plan in place, and we're going to give away this sample to you all as well, so that you can just have a look at what kind of contingency plan you can have for your executive assistant set up. So when you need to ensure that they are successful ongoing, you need to set objectives, clear goals for them. You need to monitor their progress, because you're going to have one point of contact, your executive assistant. You need to make sure that this person is progressing both skill set wise. This person is taking ongoing trainings, making sure they are polishing their skills where they are not good at, they can just polish them up, and then building out a solid contingency plan that we're going to give away as a sample. We have a snapshot of our level 10 meeting here. This is the EOS format I was talking about before while we were talking about project management. You can have meetings with your executive assistants on a level 10 platform. So we do have this in our ClickUp, and the executive assistants, they do have meetings with their managers like Azhar and Sam. They do have their L10 meetings every week. So there they talk about good news, their scorecard, that what kind of goals they had and what they achieved, their rock review. So we do have these quarterly planning sessions where we do just talk about our rocks. Rocks are our goals set for the quarter that we do apart from our day-to-day activities. We do give the updates, the executive assistants give the updates on their rocks, that where they're at the rocks and how long will it take to complete that specific rock, because they do have 1 quarter to complete it. Their headlines, their wins, to-do list, the agency owners can give to-dos to their executive assistants, and the executive assistants can give to-dos to you guys as well. If there are any issues that are concerning your executive assistant or you guys can talk about them and get the to-dos out of those issues, and then we can have the conclusion of the meeting as well. So this is how you ensure that they are successful ongoing. Would you like to comment on that, Azhar?
Yeah, I think like if I have to kind of give you guys a crux of everything that I've learned and how to make an EA successful, it's number one, having extremely clear goals set up with them. So, that's your KPIs. You're going to need some kind of measuring stick to measure their performance. And once you're clear on that, then, like now we have the KPIs. The other thing is that you need to meet with your EA. Like you cannot do this without not giving them the time. Remember, we're trying to do this like with all the SOPs and everything we're going to help you with. You're still going to have to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Like for me, it was natural. For my brother Akhtar, it was the opposite, because he's coming from the banking world, where everything is tight and closed up and held to your heart. And for him to open up to his EA took a little bit longer time. But once he got there, Marvi's here on the call with us as well. She's the team lead of our, like we have 3 EAs, so she's leading all the 3 EAs to the owners of the organization and really running the agenda for all the meetings happening where one of me or my co-founders are involved. So we've really elevated this thing. We could not have done it if we weren't spending the time with these guys, and these guys weren't understanding what our mission and vision was. And it all started with that 30-minute a week call after call after call, making sure we're giving that time, and then we're putting them on the same structure as all the other leadership. And before you know it, it's turned into such an integral part of how me and my brothers run our company right now.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Azhar, for summarizing this for us.
And then the last part is the contingency that Urooj is talking about. And yes, I love, like I've had 3 years since I started. I love working with Sam. I think she's been the longest, 1.5 years with me now. Part of the job role is going to be to automate it and kind of, delegate a lot of it, and then also have everything written down as a contingency plan, so that anyone, like God forbid something changes in Sam's life and somebody else has to come in, I am definitely not going to work without an EA. So, I'm going to need somebody else to come in to just pick up exactly where Sam left off. So for that, we introduce you the contingency plan. And again, this is something that we recommend that you have for all your job roles. It should be a part of your agency hierarchy chart. Every role you have a person in, you need to have a contingency in there so that the next person can come in. And, like sometimes we get just a bit off topic here, Mike and Aegis. Sometimes, we may get hijacked by the person that we have in a particular role. Or like we think that, what are we going to do when Joe leaves, right? Contingency plan is the first thing that you make Joe do as soon as he's stable in that account, and then get him to upgrade it every 90 days by adding Loom videos and all of the stuff that these guys do. Like we got looms integrated over here, right? Like this is a whole design. The entire thing was done by our EA team, right? So they built out their own contingency. So something like this would be highly recommended for every single role, especially the key roles, especially the roles where you're afraid that what's going to happen when Georgia leaves tomorrow. Build out a contingency plan.
Yeah, I think another way to look at that, and something that took me a minute to figure out, was sometimes your assistant or the person that you bring in, one of the first things you're going to have them do is to help really clarify the system and the process around what it is you need to do. Like for a long time, I didn't delegate because I didn't have the project management software set up. And I was like trying to get the software set up so that way I could hire someone to delegate to. And what turned out is I needed to hire the person to help me set up the software, and then I could delegate to them, right? So like the first thing you might bring them in to do is to actually create and define the role that they're going to be filling. And the reason why you might not be hiring them initially is because you don't have the time or bandwidth to do that. But that's the whole point of bringing them in. And I think the contingency kind of plays right into that as well.
Yeah.
I love that. I think because it's also building on this particular role, because this person, especially early on when you're in your early agency journey, this person is going to be helping you set up the systems and processes as well. Some of these people, like the two people that I work with, one of them went on to become a great media buyer. The other one is working with Urooj as a SDR, sales development rep, and she absolutely crushes it. And the one I have currently, like I'm really, really blessed. She's an accountant by degree, so that's the perfect type of help that I needed, because me and my entrepreneurial mind is very different. I need someone like Sam to help me out. But yeah, go ahead, Urooj.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for summarizing this. I'm going to share back. I know we are just 5 minutes left. We're just going to wrap it up real quick. We did wanted to talk about the tools and resources. You all will be getting all these tools and resources that we just talked about throughout this presentation. They'll be available for the download. When you go ahead, let's move to the next slide. All right, so we just want to quickly touch base on the hourly rates as well. You can hire locally. We do have these numbers from our Glassdoors, and we did conduct a research over Tampa, Austin, Seattle. So these are the hourly rates at Tampa, $28 US. At Austin, it's $32 for a person that we offer at RepStack, and then at Seattle, it's $39 US per hour. We did take an account on everything, experience and skill set. And at RepStack, you do get every backend support, everything, along with this executive assistant to get started. If you go part-time, it's $300 US per week. And if you go full-time, it's only $600 US per week. And it will be your time zone. And you can just go and hire this person from RepStack, or you can hire locally as well. Now, you will also be getting your hands on all these key takeaways. You can get a world-class job description of your executive assistant on the discovery call. You do get 5 lessons on building a winning team. You get 64 swipe and deploy files, 12 plus agency SOPs, 100 plus templates for hiring, onboarding, and training, and hiring secrets book from our CEO, Azhar Siddiqui himself. So these are the key takeaways that we will be giving you off after this webinar. Now let's hop on to the question answer session. Please go ahead and ask any questions if you have.
Just on the note on the discovery call that Urooj offered everyone, let's add one free Colby for anyone who hires from us as well, Urooj. So we'll add that for Mike and AJ's group. And the other thing that is also like I understand hiring, like it's going to be complicated. So even if you just jump on a call with Urooj and just get some clarity and help her build out this job description, you may not still want to hire from us, but at least get that clarity. And then you can walk away with that job description that we just talked about. So we'll build this one out for you. And now you can use it to hire yourself directly, right? So just the amount of clarity that you're going to get after speaking to Urooj and her team, and then also walking away with that world-class job description, I think that's going to be phenomenal. So, both of those things are worth it. Plus, on top of that, like we have this course on all the key roles inside a marketing agency. So you'll get access to that. We'll ship out a book as well.
Amazing. The Kolbe assessment is definitely a plus add-on. We'll be adding that up as well. Anyone who comes on a discovery call will get a free of cost Kolbe assessment link.
Can you drop a link for Renee for the landing page that we have for Agency Coach?
Yes, just a minute.
Yeah, actually, can I jump in with a question that's on my mind?
Go ahead, Mike.
So obviously you mentioned kind of real briefly that most of the folks that you place are in Pakistan. And I'm wondering, having hired globally, are there any like cultural considerations, or what should somebody that may be based in the US, maybe working with someone that's based in Pakistan for the first time, what should they know about that, and any pointers or tips around that?
All right, I can take that away first. So, Mike, now when we do hire at RepStack, so we do have our whole HR department as well. So what we do is that we are not only looking at the experience, we do make sure that any person who we are hiring is having the mindset and experience of working with US clients specifically before. So, and then when we hire them, we do have a RepStack Success Academy. We do try to build their mindset that this is the kind of client you're going to work with. We do have lots of proof of concept for them. We train them accordingly. We make sure that they have a coachable mindset. And once we're sure about the candidate, only then we put them in our client ready pool and they are ready to be placed with the clients. Now, for clients, what they need to understand when they're hiring in Pakistan or overseas, anywhere, they just need to make sure that they do treat them equally as their other team members. They, just like when we talked about making them feel welcomed, because when they're hiring a resource from Pakistan, definitely for this resource, it's again a great opportunity to work in US culture. They already are familiarized with everything in our RepStack Success Academy. Their mindset is already built up from our side. So the clients that they're working with, they need to make sure that they treat them totally equally. They include them in all the team meetings and make sure that if they can do something to define their agency culture to that specific candidate of theirs, they should be doing that actively. That can help them retain this person as well as keep this person fast-paced and making sure this person is delivering at his or her best potential for them.
Yeah, I think the cultural nuances, Mike, that's a great question, because that's something that I feel, me and my brothers, we both, like we're 20, 21 years old. We came over here to US, Canada, built out our careers, earning pretty great incomes over the last 20, 25 years. And the biggest difference between, like, when we went to the same schools as the people we're hiring, they're probably way more educated than I am and affluent and all of that stuff. But one thing that's missing is the cultural nuances. Like when you say football in Pakistan, it means soccer. When you say football here, it means the American football, right? So those are the nuances, but we do spend a lot of time in kind of bringing our people up to date. Our executive presence is like, it's a big part of the trainings and the ongoing trainings that we work on. And at the end of the day, like Urooj said, as long as the mindset's there, you can train for skill. So, having an culturally appropriate conversation with a potential client or a podcast guest that you might be inviting for me is a part of your job. To when you report temperatures, you should know temperature in Arizona is 85 degrees. And you should be automatically talking in Fahrenheit, not centigrades that we're used to back home or even in Canada. So I think that's part of what we bring to the table, where, those cultural nuances, just trainings is going to be a part of what will bring that. But also, like Urooj said, that, make sure you point it out and then let them upgrade them. And every moment of truth that you have, turn it into an opportunity to coach them and train them. And before you know it, they'll be just like working just like you, talking just like you, and acting just like you.
Mike, you're mute.
So Mike?
Yeah.
Mike can't hear you.
No. Okay.
Every once in a while, my microphone decides to switch. So, roll with the punches here. All right, so I guess I know that some folks will look at global outsourcing, and it's something that it makes a ton of sense to have someone in the business that's maybe behind the scenes doing a lot of important work, but maybe not necessarily client facing. And I'm wondering if you could share any stories or examples of folks that you've helped that are placing very much client facing roles globally, that might be in a project management role or leading like digital marketing projects, working directly with US clients on behalf of the company. Because I think that's oftentimes a stereotype or a misconception that folks think that might not be possible. And I know you've shared some examples with me previously.
Yeah, I think my take on that is pretty straightforward, that, like the big companies have already figured it out. It's the small guys who are paying the price right now. And, there's a time for, I think what we've seen is hybrid teams with working with some of the best, like Inc. 500, Inc. 5000 agencies. We're seeing that best agencies have hybrid model, and they're hiring globally, and they're hiring locally as well. And that does make sense. But a lot of these things, like, once you have systems and processes in place, Mike, agencies are going to be run by people who are mainly going to be in these, these roles, like, which are mainly entry level roles, like your marketing associate. You're going to need, like, you're going to have one expert in the media buying side, and then you may need people like 3 or 5 junior media buyers below them, training, coming up, and learning and coaching. So as long as you're following the same model where you have these the bread and butter, which is the marketing associate, the media buyer, the CRM expert, the graphic video, the SEO and content guy, and then you have your sales, your account managers, client facing. I feel that a lot of these roles, like, there's no reason you can't go global for all of these roles. You figure out what kind of agency you want. You figure out um, uh, who you want to work with at what level. Like, for example, I run a company of 250 people, managing around 6 people. I'm very particular about who these 6 people are. And then everyone has, they can go out and build out their own teams and things like that. So, so I don't think there's like, if we're holding ourselves back because we're thinking that our customers want to speak to only Arizona or Tucson based people, then I think we're holding ourselves back right now, because our clients are already used to working with people from across the globe, whether they go to McDonald's or Burger King or Walmart, or even at their local banks, and or when they call the customer service. Like, just giving you example of me and my brothers, right? Like, we came from Pakistan. My brother was at an executive level at JP Morgan Chase. And to me, none of my Calgary clients ever complain about, hey, I feel a bit of an accent coming in from that side. They were more than happy to pay me $10,000 for that website project. So I think, like, we know it exists. We know the big guys are already, like, the Googles of the world. They don't even hide the Indian phone numbers anymore. When your Google rep's gonna call you, they're gonna call you from a +91 number, which is the area code for India. And that's how open the bigger companies are now. So for us, I think, like, as long as you can make sure that all your employees hit those benchmarks that you've set up of the customer service that you want your clients to be treated, all of these things set up, then you just bring in people. Doesn't matter where. If you go global, you're gonna definitely impact the profitability, because I can promise you this: as you continue to grow, investing in people is going to be your biggest expense going forward. So, might as well have that in your arsenal.
Yeah, that's incredibly true. We're living in an evolving world, and paying attention to this trend is important. So it's been awesome training here today, guys. And if you guys didn't notice in the chat, there's a link to today's presentation, which also has the links to a lot of the resources that we went through. So guys, thank you so much for sharing those with us. This is a huge jump in the right direction, a huge shortcut for all of us. And if you guys are considering whether making a hire makes sense, highly encourage you guys to jump on a discovery call with Azhar's team, simply to just kind of go through the process of understanding what's out there. Are you ready for it? Is it, and what would that job description look like specifically for your situation? So highly suggest you guys take a peek at that. There's obviously no obligation to move forward, but you'll get a ton of value out of that call as well. And of course, all of those shortcuts are there for your benefit already. So any final comments or words of wisdom you guys like to bestow upon us before we adjourn today?
No, I think we're great, man. It was a pleasure talking to everyone, and hope this helps. That's what we're here for. If this can make a bit of an impact, then, just reach out to us. We don't bother being, and, you wanted an example, Mike. I wanted to leave you with Urooj's example. RepStack's contracts, when you turn it into, like, we're doing long-term and mission-driven people, it turns into a full-time role. That $15 an hour turns into a $29,000 a year contract. And Urooj is also our director of sales. Her and her all-female team at this point, about 6 or 7 people, are closing those deals almost on a daily basis. She has a wait list of clients that she's usually dealing with. And, so if Urooj can do it, we're kind of, doing, if I'm saying that you can do it, we're doing it for ourselves here first as well. And that's the example that I wanted to leave you guys with.
Yeah. Well, what a great example. Yeah. So when you jump on your discovery call, guys, you're going to experience what it's like to be expertly handled by a team based in Pakistan. So it's kind of like you're getting a front row seat to what that experience could look like for you and for the clients that you might serve if you were to work with these guys. So kind of a cool way to test it.
Definitely.
Very
well,
cool.
Thanks for joining in, everyone.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much, everyone, for joining in. It was a pleasure having you all on the call. You will get all the key takeaways, and then hoping to see you all on a discovery call with me.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Super
Thanks
insightful.
All
I
right.
so
appreciate
much.
the shortcuts.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.